In today's episode, almost no damage. Two ships of the Russian Navy came under a missile attack by the Ukrainian armed forces. Russia and China. Blinken explains to Americans and Europeans who to fight against. Yet another Kremlin propaganda spin on the LGBTQ issue. The President of Latvia will communicate with Russian language media exclusively in Latvian. They criticized him using the president's sexuality as an argument. Our analytical team at Detector Media is on constant watch, tracking the spread of the boldest fakes from Kremlin propaganda. I'm Vadym Miskyi, and for the next 10 minutes I'll guide you through the key facts. Let's get started. Two Russian Navy ships that were undergoing scheduled repairs at a shipyard in occupied Sevastopol and were damaged by an armed forces missile strike will be fully restored. This was reported by the Russian Ministry of Defense. This is a manipulation and an example of the Kremlin's wishful thinking.
Так, почалось. Взрывы в центре города.
This is a photo taken after the Ukrainian armed forces had attacked Sevastopol and the landing ship was destroyed, not damaged. This was reported by Oryx, a reputable open-source intelligence defense analysis website. This is a final goodbye. Recovery is out of the question, analysts at War Monitor UA reported. The corresponding high-quality satellite photo of the destroyed ships is attached. Kremlin propagandists are once again calling on the Russian Defense Ministry to strike at Ukrainian decision-making centers.
Все-таки мысль на Севастополе. Все-таки надо этих подонков жестко наказывать украинских.
The Russian Defense Minister is positive.
Гейка Жигетович, как на фронте дела?
Продолжаем выбивать технику, выбивать личный состав, всех тех, кто продолжает уже который месяц контрнаступления. Мы пережили или прошли уже, вы помните, весенняя, летняя кампания, вот сейчас пришла осенняя кампания. Ну, собственно, она сейчас идет. Войска занимаются тем, что держат активную оборону на нужных и необходимых направлениях. Где-то она сложнее, где-то она проще, но могу сказать, что ребята действуют уверенно.
Победим.
У нас нет других вариантов.
Since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion, the Ukrainian armed forces have sunk 19 Russian ships and boats. The Russian Black Sea Fleet, which includes missile launchers, is a legitimate military target. Russia and China are the main threats to the world order. In this way, Blinken supposedly explained to the Americans and the Europeans whom they should fight against. This manipulative message, with the reference to a statement by the US Secretary of State, is being spread by Kremlin propaganda.
Decades of relative geopolitical stability have given way to an intensifying competition with authoritarian powers, revisionist powers. Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine is the most immediate, the most acute threat to the international order enshrined in the UN Charter and its core principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity and independence for nations, and universal indivisible human rights for individuals. Meanwhile, the People's Republic of China poses the most significant long-term challenge because it not only aspires to reshape the international order, it increasingly has the economic, the diplomatic, the military, the technological power to do just that. And Beijing and Moscow are working together to make the world safe for autocracy through their no-limits partnership.
Мы же не создаем военных союзов, и мы не дружим против кого-то. Мы дружим в интересах наших народов. Так и будем работать дальше.
However, Mr. Blinken did not give any instructions on whom to fight. This was just Kremlin propaganda distorting the facts. He noted that Russia's war against Ukraine has demonstrated an immediate threat to the international order. However, China poses a more serious long-term challenge, as it has economic, diplomatic, military and technological power at its disposal. As a reminder, China is helping to provide Russia with helicopters, drones, optical sights and metal for the military industry. This was revealed in an investigation by the British newspaper The Telegraph. At the same time, Beijing, which claims to be neutral, is trying to position itself as a mediator in the negotiations to end the war. According to the newspaper's analysts, the volume of trade between China and Russia will exceed $200 billion this year. The President of Latvia will communicate with Russian-language media exclusively in Latvian. Kremlin propagandists reported this news with outrage. As you may recall, Latvia intends to deport Russians who fail the state language exam. They have to leave the country by early December. However, it was not only the right of Edgars Rinkēvičs to communicate with the media in his native language that the propagandists focused on. They also highlighted the fact that the President of Latvia is openly gay. They added a reminder in a Telegram post. Kremlin propaganda systematically exploits the topic of the rights of sexual minorities. In this context, however, the Russian media have placed an entirely irrelevant emphasis on the Latvian leaders' sexual preferences. The main motive for the manipulation is that Latvia actively supports Ukraine and its fight against Russian aggression.
That Ukraine is not alone in the fight for justice. Dear colleagues, the pain and destruction caused by Russia's aggression is felt by all Ukrainians. It is felt in the global south. It is important to be united in our support to Ukraine and its people, to find ways to mitigate the negative global consequences of Russia's war and to hold Russia and Russian representatives accountable.
This year, the Latvian government will provide another 10 million euros to help Ukrainian refugees. This will bring the total expenditures to more than 30 million euros. Riga spends more than 1% of its GDP on military aid to Ukraine. The Latvian parliament has called on NATO to decide to invite Ukraine to join the alliance. Boris Johnson made a Nazi salute in Lviv during an academic degree award ceremony. This fake has been spread by Kremlin propagandists. As proof, they show a photo of the former British Prime Minister supposedly imitating the Nazi salute. This is claimed to have happened at the Ivan Franko University of Lviv, and this is a fake. The case was investigated by fact-checkers from the Stop Fake project. They discovered that the picture in question was doctored. In the original picture, Boris Johnson's arms are lowered, while the other participants in the ceremony hold their hands over their hearts.
Добрый день, everybody.
The former British Prime Minister emphasized that Ukraine is now fighting for freedom around the world. Therefore, support should continue as long as necessary. At the same time, we should not underestimate the armed forces of Ukraine, which showed fantastic results on the battlefield during the counteroffensive, Boris Johnson said. Indeed, the pace of the Ukrainian counteroffensive should not be underestimated. Ukraine will defeat the invaders. Stay with us so you never fall victim to Kremlin propaganda. Have a nice day.